Hi guys! How cute is this tree? I mean, seriously, it's so adorable and it looks cute sitting on the kitchen counter. It's just this little miniature Christmas tree decked out with tiny edible holiday decorations, and it's so perfect. It would be great for Christmas dinner or even your holiday parties, just to have it out for all your guests. It's so cute, and it's quite easy to make, I promise. So if you want to make this holiday tree, keep watching to see exactly how I did it. So first thing I did was I baked a cake in a big square pan. I believe this one is like a 14 by 2 or something like that. It's a pretty big pan. Just use whatever size you have on hand and make your tree according to the size. You'll understand once the video keeps going. So first thing I did was I baked my cake in my pan. And then once it was done cooling, I ran a knife around the edge of the pan just to release the sides of the cake. Then I used a piece of freezer paper to flip my cake out onto the countertop. I didn't have a plate as big as my pan, and if you use wax paper, it's kind of flimsy. Freezer paper is much thicker and easier to do this with. So I suggest using freezer paper unless you have a big cookie sheet or something like that to flip it out on. Now I'm deciding what size circles to cut out. The Christmas tree is made up of a set of circles. Each circle is slightly smaller than the next. So look around your kitchen at your bowls, cups, glasses, a pie plate, anything. Just find a set of circles that you can use to cut out your cake pieces. So I'm placing my different items onto my cake to see where the circles will be and to make sure that they will all fit and stack accordingly. Once I've figured out what circles to use, I'm going to start cutting out my cake pieces. So I'm just going to use a knife and go around each circle and cut out the piece of cake. Now I'm just stacking my circles that I've cut out to make sure that they fit perfectly on top of each other and that I'm getting the shape of the tree that I want. I decided that I wanted another piece on the top, so I found a wine glass to use for the top of my tree, and I just traced it with the knife and cut out another piece of cake. Next, I'm going to tort each circle of cake, which basically just means taking a knife or a cake cutter and cutting each piece in half so that I can put frosting or filling in between each piece of cake. Then I'm going to smear a little bit of frosting on the top of the circle of cake and place my next round piece of cake on top. And I'm going to repeat that process. I'm torting each piece of cake, filling it with frosting, and then layering the next piece on top. And yes, I'm just using a store-bought frosting for this part of the cake. Alright, now this next part can get a little bit messy. You're going to use that same store-bought frosting to cover the entire outside part of your cake. You want kind of a thin layer since we're going to be covering it anyway with green frosting. So just do your best here and use a decorator bag and an offset spatula if you have them, because it will make it a little bit easier. But this part will get a little bit messy, and that's okay. I think that's what makes it fun, at least for me anyway. Now I'm using a tip labeled 090. This is one of those fancy ruffle tips. It has some edging down the side and it's pointed. This makes a really fun detailed ribbon-like piece of frosting that I thought would look perfect for a Christmas tree. So I had to get out my heavy-duty fancy cake turner to use the tip on the bottom part of this cake for the edging. This cake stand tilts and turns and it's quite heavy, and the tilting is perfect for a cake like this. So I used this stand for the bottom portion of my cake. And this was the first time I'd used this tip, and since this is a Christmas tree with branches, I didn't really care that much that it wasn't absolutely perfect looking. And any missed spots could be filled in once I had most of the frosting on anyway. Now the frosting that I'm using for this part of the tree is a homemade buttercream frosting that I tinted green. This is not the store-bought frosting. I only use the store-bought frosting for the underneath part of the tree that you can't see. The store-bought frosting doesn't typically have the right consistency that you need to pipe with. It won't keep its shape. So homemade frosting for this part is key. So now I'm just going around my cake and filling in any bare spots or spots that just don't look right to me. Just filling it in with a little extra frosting. I made a little yellow fondant star last night and I'm placing it on the top of my tree. So now I'm just giving my cake one last glance over before I put on the decorations or the ornaments, if you will. I'm using white and golden yellow sugar pearls, and I'm just randomly placing them on my tree wherever I feel like they're needed, just decorating my Christmas tree. Well, I've got the last ornament hung on my little tree, so my tree is completely done. These sugar pearls make the perfect ornaments, but you could really use anything you'd like. I hope you guys liked this video and it inspired you to get creative in your kitchen. Thanks for watching!